It's showtime! Yes, that's right, we thought we'd produce a special one-off episode of BRM TV for your entertainment, celebrating some of the traders and layouts with some interviews and behind-the-scenes action. But first, let's take a look at our layout of the month, Hinton Parva.
My name's Graham Muspratt and this is Hinton Parva, based in an imaginary location where all four regions meet. So it comprises of a main line, which is a Midland and Eastern region main line, with a double track secondary line coming in at the other end of the layout, which is a Southern and Western region. So we actually do loco changes out the front, where Southern and Eastern locos swap over, or Western and Midland locos swap over to carry their journeys on appropriately. Well, the High Wycombe and District Model Railway Society has been around for over 40 years. This layout itself is actually nearly 25 years old now. We have our own premises in the centre of High Wycombe and a membership of around 60, ranging in ages from 8 to 80. And our ethos is very much on operation, keeping trains moving with maybe up to 5 movements at a time happening out the front to keep the public occupied. The layout's operated by a team of 7 drivers at any one time. We have a central control panel that effectively orchestrates all movements at the front of the layout in all directions. We have a driver at each end that drives the up and down trains in accordance to what the signals say. We have 37 fully operational semaphore signals on the front of the layout and some coloured light signals, all fully interlocked with the track work and the points. And each driver drives purely to what the signals say. Then the motive power depot has a separate operator, as does the goods yard at the far end. We can maintain at least 2, 3, 4 or 5 movements at any one time out the front, and many of those are orchestrated so that certain types of train cross at certain locations for good effect. The fiddle yard has an operator at each end, and they're responsible for their half of the fiddle yard, both bringing trains into the correct siding in the fiddle yard and then getting the next train ready, bringing it out onto the bridge board between the front and the rear of the layout, waiting the driver then to be able to pick it up and bring it out onto the front of the layout at the right time in the sequence. So we operate a wide range of stock. As you can see, going past me now is a LNER Garrett hauling a rake of 50 wagons, whilst in the opposite direction is a LMS Garrett with the loaded coal train pulling 68 wagons, which is something the visitors to the show certainly like to see. And we try and run a range of different locomotives from the sort of late 1950s, early 1960s era. So we'll see a lot of the prototype diesels like the LMS prototype diesels, the Southern Bullitt diesels, and as I said, the Garretts and the gas turbine locomotives like you can see on the shed here as well. So the stock is all provided by members, but it is to a sequence, and so we use the same stock on the layout that shows so that we have consistency to the sequence. We've changed the design of the baseboard slightly to try and make transportation a little bit easier. The control system for the new Oxford layout will be fully DCC control using Merg electronic components and systems to try and bring everything up to date and hopefully improve reliability, and of course give us the option for sound fitted locomotives as well, which we're not using here at the moment with this being a DCC layout or DC layout. This is about to be retired, in inverted commas. We're not disposing of it, but we're already starting on its replacement, which will be a similar sized layout, but based on the real location of Oxford, set in the late 1950s.
I've just arrived at Doncaster Racecourse for the 22nd Festival of British Railway Modelling. We're all setting up now, so I better start getting my stuff into the hall.
The show runs, it's open 2 days, which is the weekend, but we actually come on a Thursday morning and set up. So we arrive, we have a day setting up, just the 4 of us. Friday, trade and layouts are coming in, and then Saturday, all the general public come in.
People not arriving with the right equipment, if they've forgotten something, then we'll do our best to sort that out for them as well. So it's really just making sure the trade are happy.
You've actually come quite a long way for today, haven't you, Joe?
Yeah, we came over from the Isle of Wight this morning. We were on the 6 o'clock ferry from, then we got held up on the M3.
Oh, how long does it take you to get here then?
Just shy of 6 hours.
Blimey, you've got to be keen then.
Well, again, a lot of people want to see me, you see, because it's okay ordering online and things like that, but the other ones, with this, it's very impulsive, and a lot of them want advice as well at the same time.
So they actually come here looking for advice on the products to use, and just to meet the celebrities, Joe. But presumably there's a lot they can ask here.
Oh yeah. We have a lot of different options. A lot of people ask, can we run some on batteries? Can we run it on power supplies? Obviously, we actually make our own power supplies now to suit the lights, but also a lot of the new LED stuff like these can actually run off of batteries, no problem.
Oh, that's really neat. In fact, I'll be honest, I've actually done that recently with a layout because it just saves a chunk of wiring under there as well.
And also less damage.
Yes, and you don't have to worry about working out what resistors to put in because obviously they're LEDs, so they only run on 3 volts.
Standard 3 volts. The amber ones, they need a resistor because obviously the voltage is slightly different, but it's all supplied. We all supply the resistor for the voltage they require.
I mean, how many lights do you carry?
There's 256 different variants of lighting we do.
Right.
So, and one of the biggest comments we get, there's too much choice. So, where'd you go with that? And also, it's the only illuminated display of this size in the country. So, and I think that's what attracts people to it, and actually puts them into the lighting idea in the first place.
It's certainly eye-catching. I mean, we can see it from the other side of the hall. But the thing that's really, really catching our eyes has got to be the road vehicles with all the flashing lights going on.
Yeah, that was another one of my little innovations. It's a challenge. If I see a vehicle and I say, well, can I light it up?
Yeah.
And in the early days, it was the only thing that was available was large LEDs. But now we're working on micro stuff. You know, we were talking about 0.4 of a millimetre these little LEDs are.
Blimey, that is tiny. They must be fun to put wires onto.
Oh, they're great fun, all right. They take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And we've also got a magscope that comes down on the screen so you can actually help see it. A Sprinter ambulance,
right,
which has 10 of these micro LEDs in it as well. But that takes nearly 4.5 hours just to complete the wiring inside.
Right, and these are commission bills, or do you keep some in stock?
We do keep some stock on the shows to sell. We can't put them on the website purely because they sell quicker than we can make them, which is the biggest downfall, and we can't always guarantee there's going to be stock available. Because what happens mainly with these manufacturers, they do a run, and then you've got a break, and then you're going to run a re-release of it.
Right, so the limitation factor is often whether you can get the base vehicle.
We do take commission work in.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit of a queue, because obviously if you send it to us, it's not going to be done by tomorrow, because it just doesn't work. The whole system doesn't work like that.
No, because you are the manufacturer, aren't you, in this instance?
I said a couple of people have tried it, and I said we also sell the components people have to go themselves.
Yeah.
Which is. And some people really enjoy it. Once they've done the first one.
You could fit lights in anything really that's a die-cast vehicle. And these are quite sophisticated now. I mean, in the old days it was on, off, on, off, on, off. And, but these aren't, are they? There's lights flashing all over the place. There's definitely a pattern to the RAC van.
I've written the program on 2 little chips. And one of them I can slow up and speed down. And then I can do various, because there's multiple points on the chip as well, once the program's in there, you can choose which way you want the actual sequence to go.
So you can actually have the full sequence in there, or in any of these things. I mean, you were telling us earlier that different London boroughs have different sequences of lights.
Yeah, on the new ones, they've just brought out with 2 new white LEDs on the top. Instead of having all blue lights, we've got blue lights and white lights.
6 hours each way. That's a lot of miles you're doing there. You can't just be doing it for the money. I mean, I've noticed a load of people walking by just going, hello, Joe, as they come around setting up and everything. Yeah. Everybody knows each other. How much of it is, because it's fun to do?
It is fun, very much fun to do, and also it's great to actually let people see the new products. Going back to the social side of it, you have a core of trade stands here that go around on the circuit.
Yeah.
And as the summer goes through on the smaller shows, they split up. So what happens then is once they split up, then we go to the bigger shows like BRMs, and they all come back together again, and then they'll tell you all about what shows they've done and how they're doing bits and pieces. But I said most of it is for the customers as well. They come and see it illuminated, which is one of the key aspects. Come and tell me how they've got on with their lighting, or if they're having problems, we can go over it, and then that's what you meant, and then we can carry it on.
So they're coming along for a chat as well.
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
But it basically keeps them coming back. You are an attraction to the show, obviously.
I actually enjoy it as well.
I'm glad you do.
I can't actually just sit in my workshop making all these vehicles and producing everything we do without actually talking to people as well. So it is good to get out and about and see what's changing on the circuit.
Brilliant. So you get a bit of you get some useful feedback.
Very much so.
They get a nice chat, and everybody gets a really cracking stand to look at as well.
They come here to enjoy themselves, and that's what it's all about.
I think that's it. That's great. Well, thanks very much. I hope you have a really good day, a really good weekend.
Excellent.
And I look forward to seeing what's flashing on the stand at the next show.
Excellent. We'll see you then.
Thanks, Joe.
Cheers.
I'm here with Richard Harper and his layout Sidmouth. We're going to have a look at the layout and have a bit of a chat to see what inspired him and find out a bit more. Richard, tell us about the layout.
Well, it goes back many years till when I first saw a layout of Sidmouth that had been built by someone, and this was in the railway model, I don't know, back in the 70s, I think. And it kind of interested me, and anyway, it got lost in time, and then eventually I came around to deciding that I was going to build my own layout. Started looking at some books for photographs, interesting subjects, and came across Sidmouth, and it kind of suddenly a bell rang. And anyway, I thought I'd follow it up, and went down to Sidmouth, took some photographs of what is still there.
Is there much there now?
The station house is still there, part of the station building, some of the canopy, the old goods shed's still there, and one bay of the old engine shed has been incorporated into some kind of factory, and a couple of the old merchants' buildings are still there, but other than that it's just one big industrial estate.
It was quite a slow burn, this, but you then moved on and built the layout. How big is it? Is always a good starting point.
In old money, it's 27.5 feet long, including the fiddle yard.
That's quite a size. I mean, do you have space for it at home, or is it just exhibitions?
I have space for it in when it's packed up, but I can put up 2 boards at a time. And this tends to be a bit of a drawback if you want to test it before exhibitions. It's not actually possible to do that, so you come away to an exhibition with some trepidation sometimes because you haven't tested everything you'd like to have done. But there we go.
Okay. Now it's P4. Why P4 rather than 00 that most of the readers will be familiar with?
Well, I think, as you may know, I belong to the Clarendon group, and of course, which followed on from Walford, which was EM. And when I joined the Leamington and Warwick Model Railway Society, the Walford was a kind of step into the unknown, because up till then everything had been 00. So when Walford was finished and a number of us got together, and many of us are still together now these days, and some of the guys are here on my team, we decided to go from EM to see how we got on with P4. It was no, we don't like 00 or we don't like EM, it's just we wanted another challenge, really.
Yeah, now it's interesting because, as you say, the team's been involved with several layouts, so this is quite a continuing process, really, isn't it?
I'm very, very grateful to the Leamington and Warwick Model Railway Society, really. I'm so glad that I joined it back in the 80s. In fact, your father welcomed me first night, Because I've met a lot of interesting people, and all of us, I think, have developed our abilities over the years, such that we really enjoy going out on shows and meeting people, and it's fun.
This takes me on to the next question, really. I mean, what do you enjoy out of shows? Because it's not easy. I mean, we've seen you unloading a fairly substantial layout, and it is hard work. There's an early start on a Friday and a late finish on a Sunday. What gives you what's in it for you, really?
Well, the mitigating factors are the comradeship of the team that you're working with, the people that you meet across the barrier, the conversations that you have, the people that you get to know in the Model Railway fraternity who maybe you wouldn't, who have some particular abilities that you want to connect with. Generally, I would say that I've met an awful lot of interesting people, and a great number of friendly people in this business of exhibiting my layout.
Well, I must admit, this is interesting because you're saying talking to the people. I've always argued that you get best value for money out of coming to a show as a visitor if you ask questions across the barrier. And I know certainly I enjoy that bit. I'm guessing you do too.
Oh, absolutely. I prefer it when people react with you and ask you how you do things. And, I mean, that's what it's all about. It's passing on information, grabbing information off people. It's a constant learning exercise, I guess.
It's fantastic. Well, how long has it taken to build the layout? I'm going to return to that for a moment. How long has it taken to build? And also, how close are we to finishing? Because they do say a model railway is never really finished.
It's been about 12 years in the build, and I would say, other than small cosmetic items, I think it's more or less finished.
So is there a plan for the next one?
Well, I'd have to sell this one first, I think, but in order to create some space. But I have got one or two other ideas, but we shall see.
We shall see what comes out of the group in the future. Thanks very much, Richard. Thanks for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show, and hope everybody enjoys the layout.
Thank you for inviting us.
Probably the largest layout at the show today is Liverpool Lime Street, and I'm here with the owner, John. John, this is a huge layout. What does it take to move it around between shows?
A lot of hard work, 6 team members, a Luton 3.5 ton box van, plus a 1500 weight van. And now we actually have a separate car for people to come as well. It's quite a logistical operation, as you can appreciate. We have actually weighed the van, and the whole railway weighs 1 ton 1500 weight, which is an interesting statistic.
Wow, that is some serious weight. So moving it in and out of the hall, I think I'm leaning on part of the solution for that.
You are indeed, yes. We've got these frames, you can see here, which we actually stack the baseboards in. The idea for this came from some time ago. I remember seeing a bread van, and the bread trays were delivered in these racks which they wheeled into the shop. So I adapted that idea, and we actually wheel these frames into the hall with all the baseboards stacked inside.
How many boards have we got, and what's the overall size of this layout?
The overall size of the layout is 45 feet on its length, and at its widest point it's 8 feet. Number of baseboards, well, there's 11 boards in the full length. Each board's 4 foot by 2 foot 6, and there's there's 8 foot at its widest point. So it's about 20 boards, I think.
That's a lot of boards. Okay.
Yes.
How long does it take you when you pull up at an exhibition venue? How long before you're up and ready and the first train's working?
Today it took us 6 hours 15 minutes.
And how long to pack away again at the end of the weekend?
At least 2.5 hours, maybe 3.
Wow, that's quite some commitment. Now, I mean,
Yeah, but the thing about that is that by the time we've packed up and ready to load, everybody else is gone, so we can get the vans close to the door and with no problem getting access.
what makes you give up a weekend of fairly hard work?
It's fun. It's, as you rightly say, it's damned hard work, but it's good fun. And the camaraderie of the boys, we've got a crew of 6 that work the railway, and we all get on really well together. We're very lucky like that, and we've got a broad band of experience, of expertise when we run it, for working on the railway, and we all enjoy a good weekend away. It's good.
I must finish up then with the question, why Lime Street?
Why Lime Street? The reason is that when I was a small boy, I was born and brought up in Southport, and my mum used to take me quite often to London for weekend breaks, and we used to get the electric train to Liverpool, and then we get the main line train in the 50s down to London from Lime Street, and it just left that burning impression in my mind, and that's where it all stems from, I'm afraid.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for your efforts, John. I'm sure everybody else is enjoying the layout. I can see big crowds out the front. I'm quite glad we're hidden around the back here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here with Frank from Andrews Hedgehog Hospital. Who have we got here, Frank?
This is Diana. She's a rescue hedgehog that came to us on the 4th of December last year, and she had a rather unfortunate meeting with a strimmer. And the whole of her top head was ripped open, down to the skull. She was in great pain, and we all thought that she wasn't going to make it. In fact, people were saying, oh, put her down. But we gave her an injection of painkiller. She perked up, began to eat. We sprayed her with some nice lotion to ease the pain, and slowly but surely began to become more and more active. She began to eat, and now she's twice the weight of what she was when she arrived. She'll never go back into the wild, unfortunately. She lost one of her eyes and one of her ears, but she can see all right in here. But because the injury went down as far as her skull, which can never fully clear out, the risk of infection if she went out was not possible.
So she's going to be a permanent resident at the hospital, and part of the appearance here today, of course, is to raise money to expand the hospital.
Absolutely. It costs us £27,000 a year to run as we are, so we need to raise money on a continuing basis for that. But we're not getting any younger, and we have been allocated some land on a lovely estate near us called Elsham Hall, an acre of land, and we're going to build a permanent, fully serviced veterinary hedgehog hospital, phase 1, and that will be phase 2, will be turned it into a full wildlife hospital.
Fantastic. Now, I mean, Diana's lying here, taking the crowds very much in her stride, but of course this isn't a natural environment for hedgehogs. For viewers who've actually got living out in the countryside or might have hedgehogs, what can we do to make sure that they don't end up in your tender care? And how can we actually attract them? Because obviously there is a need for more hedgehogs.
Right. First of all, your garden has got to have some rough areas. Some shrubs which put down leaves because they love scattering around in leaf litter to find the insects, which is their main diet. Make sure they can get in and out of your garden. Modern gardens with these fences with concrete bottoms on them is just enclosing them when they can't roam. We put an electronic tag on a female hedgehog, and at night, every night, she used to leave her nest, and she would then go off on a trip, and she'd go around, visit 20 to 25 gardens and walk nearly 2 miles. So that's the territory they need. Rough areas in your garden, and if you do get visitors, set up a feeding station, give them some cat food and some cat biscuits. Cat food, anything but fish. Fish gives them diarrhea. So, and some cat biscuits and water. Never milk.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much, Diana, who is an absolute star. She's been lying here and in a busy hall and sniffing away. I hope she's enjoying the show as much as everybody else is. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Phil.
Taking the trip over to meet one of the demonstrators of the show because there's obviously much more than just layouts here, and I'm here with Ben from the Model Railway Club. Ben, what are you doing really?
Well, this is some really running repairs at the moment. So we've got couplings on all these wagons, and some of them are in perfect working order, working beautifully, and coupling and uncoupling just where we want them to, but not all of them are. And you could argue we should spend all night long at the club or wherever getting these sorted, and it would be right. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. So this is an opportunity to do a little bit of running repair, maintenance, tuning up, and of course it gives people a flavour of what's involved in that kind of thing. And I've spent quite a lot of time explaining how these couplings work and just going over some of the differences between what you've got on a wagon that you buy from a dealer and what you can do with a little bit of work with some of the sort of third-party couplings that are available.
So, I mean, you've chosen to do this in a very public forum, sitting at a show. Yeah. Presumably, you get an awful lot of questions and a lot of good chat out of this, then.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun. I mean, not a great secret, really. I mean, not a huge amount actually gets finished. I've worked my way through a few of these, but it's much more fun to just let people come to you and ask whatever questions come to mind. You get some fairly odd ones, and you get some helpful ones, like someone saying, so what are you doing apart from removing the labels? And we've got labels on saying, what's wrong with them? Well, actually, it did take me quite a long time to get the label off, but I've gone into a fair bit of detail, mostly about the activities, the sort of manual skills and all of that. And you know, I'm not going into fine detail about exactly how these work. We get a little bit of that, and you get quite a broad range of people who are curious, want to know a little bit more, and some of the sort of skill transfer that happens, the learning that you can get in a club, for example, it is very valuable, and we can show off that, and I guess also just show off some of the activities that you might undertake typically in the hobby.
And so by the end of the weekend, you'll have fixed all these wagons, had a load of good chats with people, a good weekend out with your friends because you're with the layout as well. So an excellent way to spend a couple of days in February.
I think so. I think that's a very good summary, and it's a great pleasure just to have those chats and catch some of the atmosphere. And I agree with you.
Okay, thanks very much, Ben. Back to work.
Cheers.